A few weeks ago, Metro Exodus went from being a much anticipated video game to a PR disaster virtually overnight. But we'll explain that in a moment. I want to briefly delve into the history of Metro and the companies behind it. 4A Games was formed in 2005 by Oles Shishkovstov and Alexander Maximchuk, two programmers who worked on the X-ray engine for Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. Leaving roughly 1 year before Stalker's release, they went to form 4A Games and create their own engine, the 4A engine, for use in the Metro 2033 series. 5 years later, and we get the official release of Metro 2033, a first-person survival horror shooter based on the novel of the same name by Russian author Dmitry Glavkovsky. It met to critical success, and a sequel, Metro Last Light, was planned. Last Light, which was supposed to release in 2012, suffered major setbacks when their main publisher, THQ, declared bankruptcy in early 2013 and sold the publishing rights to most of their property, including the Metro franchise. Luckily for 4A Games, the rights were quickly bought out by Koch Media, a German-Austrian media company known largely for owning Deep Silver, another video game publisher responsible for games such as Saints Row and Wasteland 2, among others. With their help, 4A Games finally managed to release Metro Last Light to get more positive reception. It is at this point we reach the present, and in comes Metro Exodus. Recently released, it is the third installment and direct sequel to the other two in the series, and not only was it widely anticipated, but has also garnered favourable reviews amongst critics. For the last year or so, the game had been marketed for release on all major consoles and on PC using Steam as the retailer of choice. Even on the physical copies, the game was marketed as a Steam game, offering a Steam key. But 2 weeks ago, this all changed when the developers decided to pull the game from the Steam store, despite it being up there for well over 6 months, choosing to release it on the Epic Games Store instead and forgoing a Steam release for at least a year. Epic Games are largely known for their Unreal Engine, used in a ton of video games, as well as the ever-growing Battle Royale style first-person shooter Fortnite. In December 2018, Epic Games decided to release their own digital retailer known as the Epic Games Store to compete with Steam, initially by offering a much lower cut for developers than Steam, but now seemingly by buying exclusive rights to anticipated video games such as Metro Exodus. This is essentially where the controversy starts. While pre-orders for Metro Exodus on Steam will likely be honoured, because I can't imagine the legal and PR crap they'll get if they don't, people are naturally quite annoyed at the announcement of pulling from the Steam store entirely only 2 weeks before the game was set to release. Noting that the exclusive rights here isn't the primary concern most gamers seem to have. Having to download another launcher and sign up to another store, while inconvenient, isn't really what people are complaining about. Rather, it's the feeling that a bait and switch has been made where gamers were led to believe for almost a year that the game would be playable on Steam, only to have it pulled at the last minute without any warning that no, it won't be. It is the fact that the Epic Store isn't a good value proposition for gamers when compared to Steam, or even publisher-based launchers like Uplay and Origin, as it has very little feature parity by comparison. Another major concern was that physical PC copies weren't going to have Steam keys despite having the Steam logo plastered on the back, which was then confirmed by the official Metro Exodus Twitter account. And then, only a few days ago, we get this, an image by Robot Brush of Twitter showing just how hastily this decision must have been made. I mean, really? Really, guys? How much is Epic throwing at you for this to be remotely worth it? Because I just don't see how an 18% lower store cut is worth the loss of exposure from using a bigger storefront, nor the reputation loss for making the decision so hastily in the first place. Then, in some desperate bid to somehow persuade detractors into forced silence, a developer goes on record to make the bold statement that if PC players boycott the game, they just won't ever release on PC again. This was quite obviously not received well, and both Deep Silver and Koch Media did eventually comment on the invalidity of the original statement. Now, I understand 4A Games are likely frustrated at the reputation loss they've gained in the past few weeks. I also understand that it is highly unlikely that it was their decision, and probably came from higher-ups either in 4A Games itself or from Deep Silver/Koch Media. Particularly since THQ Nordic, the parent company for all three of these, had supposedly no idea what was going on and are refusing to make a statement. However, labelling your consumers as being entitled for having legitimate concerns over not wanting to download a launcher is not only highly unprofessional but incredibly out of touch with what the problems your customers have. And slapping them in the face so shortly before your game is set to release is only going to make them more likely to boycott and pirate your game than to support you. And the reality is, a lack of convenience is all it takes for people to pirate. I live in a country where TV shows and recent film releases are often heavily delayed if they get shown at all, and the reality here at least is people don't really want to sign up to 3+ different Netflix-style services to see the one TV series they were interested in, and they don't really care how dodgy a website looks so long as it gives them what they want for nothing. This is even more apparent when we're told it'll come out on Steam next year anyway. Well, that's great, but not only will it likely come at a deep discount because paying full price for a year-old release is a joke, but anyone who really wants it but doesn't want to go through Epic will have already pirated it because, as said, the inconvenience of waiting is far worse for some than the relatively low risk of getting caught pirating a video game. From a business standpoint, it makes sense to go with the option that nets more money. In this case, Epic Games offers a flat 18% increased revenue compared to Steam. However, will the loss of exposure from cutting out the biggest platform on the market outweigh the bonus 18%? Is Epic making up for this with flat cash? And if so, how sustainable is this business model going to be? While it would be disappointing to not have future Metro games on the PC, it will hurt PC gamers far less than it will hurt 4A games or Deep Silver in the long run, because there are plenty of other developers making great first-person shooters to latch onto. So that was just a brief outlook on the PR nightmare surrounding Metro Exodus. My name is MrTastix, thank you for watching.